here's Brody Brazil.
You know, the thing about Major League Baseball's current jersey problem is that it's not singular by any means. More like problems, as in the thickness of jerseys, the stitching, the lack of embroidery on patches, you name it, and pretty much every team is dealing with it. But what if I told you there was one club that has seemed to at least fix one of the issues, and it's the Kansas City Royals? Take a look at this screenshot from a spring training game in Arizona and pay close attention to the lettering of the name on the back. There's Lester. Now wait a second. That looks like an old jersey, more traditional, bigger style lettering. That compared to what the Halos are wearing. Now I totally understand. Different teams, different fonts. There's an outline on the Angels lettering. But clearly on the left, Lester looks more traditional, more correct, as opposed to what the Angels are doing. Now, in fairness and full disclosure, both of these are the brand new Nike Vapor jerseys put together by Fanatics, but it sure seems like the Kansas City Royals have figured things out. They've got that more recognizable name on the back of their jersey. Look at the side-by-side, Royals versus Giants. Obviously, both new, but one looks old and one looks new. They're both new. How are the Royals doing this? Hernandez versus Ottavino. Looks old, is new, versus the Mets, looks new and is new. The Royals have figured something out here. Paul Lucas figured all of this out. Go check out his website, UniWatch. He's been doing it for 25 years. Paul, if you're watching this, I hope to connect with you very soon. He broke this story. And in his piece, he says, but was Royals first baseman Josh Lester's full-size lettering an aberration? Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe this was an accident. Was it an old jersey, right? That had to be. Nope. It was a team-wide thing. And just to be clear, the Royals were definitely wearing the new template jerseys, complete with that lower MLB logo, right, on the back. They just used the full-size lettering anyway. There's the answer. New jersey, but old-style lettering, and that's exactly what the Royals are doing. And I love the fact that Paul went the extra step to contact the club and get it straight from them. He said, I wanted to know more, so I got in touch with the Royals VP of Communications, Sam Mellinger, who said this, quote, I was wondering when somebody would notice, he told Paul. I was expecting it to be our beat writer, but, well, you make sense as well. Love the fact that we'll get these direct answers. And again, of the many problems, the piping on the sleeves, the stitching, the thickness of the jersey, the fact that the patches just don't look and feel exactly right. Love the fact that we're at least getting the lettering on the back here sorted out. Paul says, according to the Royals, they like the new uniforms but felt strongly about maintaining the full-size lettering as a way for fans to connect with the team's players. So they, the Royals, worked with Nike and MLB to make that possible. This was not a case of teams being presented with a choice of lettering sizes, to be clear. The Royals were told, hey, you're going to do this like everybody else. There was no choice at all. Everyone was supposed to get the smaller letters. The Royals essentially got a waiver because they lobbied hard for it. They saw the importance of that bigger lettering. Paul says, I felt like an idiot asking Mellinger of the Royals this question, but it seemed necessary. Quote, Nike and MLB are saying that the smaller lettering makes the jersey lighter. And to some degree, it's obvious it might make it lighter, but by how much? So are the Royals concerned about being at a competitive disadvantage because of the larger, heavier lettering? And the answer is, I'm sure you'll be stunned to learn that Mellinger said no. It's pretty straightforward and direct, but obviously the answer we would all expect. So here are my takeaways. And I mean, when you put this side by side together, and I'll show it to you one more time at the end of the video here, the Royals and the Angels, yikes, right? And it's not just a matter of preference here. It's a matter of tradition and what names on the back of jerseys have always looked like. It's hard to go from decade to decade, and then all of a sudden 1 year, whoops, you didn't even shrink it by 5% or 15%. The lettering might be like 40% smaller. And I think it's important to recognize that the purpose of the names on the back of the jersey I guess it might be to sell jerseys and to have some player identification, but it literally is so that fans sitting from a distance or watching on TV can see the name of a player from afar. And if you're making it that much smaller, it's actually hard to read from any legitimate distance. So for function and for fashion, the smaller names just don't make a ton of sense. It's also still amazing how many eyeballs all of this missed, right? The fact that Major League Baseball and Nike and Fanatics and almost all the clubs are like, yeah, that's good, we'll go with that. But yet, as soon as they got rolled out to the players and the fans, and everybody's like, whoa, how are all the fans and players and people around baseball seeing this, but the people inside baseball who were supposed to make these decisions for everybody else, how did they miss it? And either miss it in like they didn't see it, or didn't care about it enough, or thought that nobody else would care. How did all of the decision makers actually miss on this? And again, players should want their names larger on the back. I mentioned before it's for the fans and function and fashion. Yeah, how it looks, I suppose, is important. Players can't see their own names on the back of their jerseys. But fans can, and they'll see it in photos, and it's just more of an image and brand and pride thing that you would want your name in large on the back of your jersey. And going back to the performance side of this, I'm glad Paul asked it of the Royals. If you were telling me that the name was 5 times as big, or the font lettering was gigantic, or it was one big plate, like a name plate of fabric on the back that weighed a lot more, if you were telling me all of this was so much bigger and a lot more material and a lot heavier and a lot less breathable, I would say, okay, it makes sense to go smaller because players are sweating through the back of these things. I mean, from a performance standpoint, how negligible is this? And a weight standpoint, breathability, weight, none of this stuff matters to the minute degree, but it does matter in terms of how things look and perception and even tradition. All of that stuff matters. But my question at the end of this is, have the Royals cracked the code? They figured this out. And don't tell me for a second that when everybody around Major League Baseball players see this, they're not going to want it too. Fan bases are going to want this too. Everybody's going to look at the Royals and say, hey, how'd they get that? I want that back. That looks like how we should look. And so I think the Royals have cracked a code. I think they're starting a trend here. I think Major League Baseball, Nike, and Fanatics are at least going to figure this part out, right? Redesigning the whole jersey, that might take some time, weeks and months, and getting the fabric right and doing the patches with embroidery like they used to be. And I don't know if the piping on the sleeves matters. We'll see what gets sorted out here. But in terms of names on the back of the jersey, you'd think that could be done a lot more quickly and efficiently. And this is something more realistic that could be addressed by opening day, which is, less than a month away by the time you're watching this, probably about a month away. And I think it's so clear. This image tells it all. What looks old on the left, what is definitely new on the right, what looks correct to your eyes on the left, and what looks just a little bit off on the right. I hope this spreads around Major League Baseball. I hope everybody's able to take what the Royals did first in providing a little bit of pushback, and it gives everybody else that same leverage to get this situation right. You've made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.